because they think it's a tree that growing. But that is a representation of something. So you begin to realize that what we have is we have a whole set of people who just only talk words.
Yes.
And they don't get to the spiritual sustenance of the thing.
Yes, and that is where mourning is so important.
That is the entrance. That is the
Yeah.
beginning.
Because to get into the spiritual meanings, you have to get into the realm of the spirit.
And if you're going to use the Bible,
Yeah.
at least find out what it really have in the Bible.
Yeah.
So we don't know the essence of what we're reading.
True.
We don't.
That is so true.
And we look at the dichotomies, we look at the differences, we look at the contradictions, and don't try to figure out what this contradiction is. Why do you have this? What is the reason for that? So you end up with shouting words at people and thinking that that will make them believe what it is you're trying to tell them.
They will be convinced that you are convinced.
That they know something.
Yeah. All right. So before we bring this session.
We ain't finished yet, you know.
All right.
Oh, you want to duck out so quick?
No. I just wanted to raise another issue.
So the other thing that we have, beside the water,
All right.
is we have the bell.
Well, that is what I was going to raise.
Why a bell? In some religions is a bell.
Yeah.
In some religions is a gong. In some religions is like a cymbal.
Yeah.
In some religions is a small gong. You know, dong.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have two pieces of pipe of a certain length, and when you knock it, it goes ding,
Yeah.
and it keeps a piercing sound for a long time. In all those cases, if you look at the shape of a bell, bam, and then it goes like this and it makes a curve. Why wasn't the bell just
Square,
Drum.
straight, like a cylinder. Yeah.
why does it come out like that?
Because the shape helps to shape the resonance or to prolong it.
You ever look at a seashell?
Yes.
Would you say that that shape is reminiscent to the curve in a seashell?
I would say it is a copy.
All right.
Yeah.
So why would somebody be doing a bell and be trying to make a copy? The other thing that you also have in some religion is the conch,
Conch, yeah.
blowing the conch.
Yeah, the Baptist faith. We
Right.
have certain practitioners who are gifted with that, but not everybody can do it.
So when you blow the conch, it has a particularly ringing sound that does things to you.
It's very attention getting.
Right. It brings it to a point.
Yeah.
Boom. Stop you from straying on it. Boom. In the Baptist faith, why do they ring the bell? What's the purpose of ringing the bell?
I would have to say there are many reasons. Many times the bell is wrong and different occasions.
Always for one reason. Always for one reason.
Well, then you had to tell me what that reason is.
First to begin, the bell and the shape of the bell follows what you call the inverse square law.
Inverse square law.
That is the law by which you grow, by which plants grow, by the branches being separated.
That is to do with the Fibonacci series. That has a relationship
yeah.
between every joint in your finger and every living thing has.
Yes, everything follows that.
We could follow that. Okay.
Right?
All yeah.
So therefore, that series is really a way of showing you a connection between you and the energies of the universe. You are a copy of all the energies in the universe.
Right.
Your nose relative to your eyes is a certain distance. The length of your neck to your body. There's little variations, but basically, when you watch a human being, you could know it's a human being. Even sometimes when it is distorted.
Yes.
Because you'll always have little exceptions to the rule. So when you ring the bell, and the bell follows the inverse square law, it makes a sharp ringing tone that brings your attention, boom, to that point.
Okay.
And it brings your attention to that point because that tone has the ability to penetrate dimensions. So that is the point at where you're going to call the forces out to join you in a common ceremony in order that everybody might participate. You, your ancestors, your angelic help, everything. comes together to help.
So the bell is used as a sort of a key to turn the lock.
The bell is the key, summons.
Okay. Okay. This guy Nikola Tesla, he made a statement that the earth rings like a bell.
Yes, it does. Have frequencies. They have Schumann frequency or the Schaum frequency.
But he went further to say that if we could tune our instruments to that frequency, we would have limitless power.
Yes, he wanted to set up electricity stations around the world. And when you want electricity, all you have to put an antenna out in your house and it will collect electricity and you run your house.
Okay.
He'd already done all the work on it. I am lucky to have read all the papers and know how he was doing it and why he was doing it. And see plans of the first tower that he built and actually projected it over a period.
So you're talking about the project where he was trying to transmit electricity wirelessly.
He wasn't trying. He did it. He did one transmission over a distance of 11 miles.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
When J.P. Morgan and them found out what he was doing, they shut him down immediately.
Yeah, because it would have been too
It would
difficult.
have mashed up the status quo.
Yeah, too difficult for them to make money off of that.
You're too bright.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that the bell and the gong and the conch, all of which are instruments that follow the
inverse squello.
You know what's the other one? The organ.
The big pipe organs you
pipe
see in
organ.
the Catholic
Not
church.
the simulated, not in the Catholic
Not the
church.
synthesizer.
Yes, you see it in our music hall too,
Yes,
right? The one way it is actually resonate.
yes.
You
And these
know?
big long pipes and
That you can use to bring that out.
right. Okay. So the resonance.
So you resonate and you just resonate in a certain tone. Similarly, when you have priests that follow spiritual work and they're singing, they never sing in notes,
You're singing tones.
they sing in tones. Because tones open doors.
No, you're explaining you're explaining some because I see certain spiritual people when they get up to lead a worship service or something, they have certain tones that they pull, as it were. They will be singing the song, but they will emphasize certain tones at the beginning of certain paragraphs or sentences.
Yep.
And then the body language, they will indicate to you whether you had to go down by pointing towards the ground, or they will raise their hand to tell you, well, you know, lift your voice and that kind of thing.
Because you tune in the gate.
Yeah.
Tune in the gate.
So I now understand. Sometimes you feel, oh, why they had to be so? Why they can't stand up and sing? You know, like how normal people stand up and sing. But they're actually trying to convey to you the method.
Yes. How to open the gate.
Yes. All right.
Now,
Yeah.
if you look at the Bible,
Yeah.
you have the book of Numbers. And you see and he gave him 6 shekels of that and 3 shekels of this and that and that and that and that. And you read it and you read down and you have more shekels given away and more shekels given away. And when you reach 6 chapters, 6 paragraphs down, this verse here repeats itself.
Yeah.
And when you go secret, it repeats itself again. So you say, why is that? Is the guy drunk? Or he have a penchant for repeating himself? He kind of off or what?
He was inscribing a code.
He was inscribing a code.
Right.
And the code he was inscribing is a code called the solfeggio scale,
Right.
which is a 6-note scale. And God says, call me by my name and I shall answer you. So for instance, if you go into the book of Exodus, there's a certain chapter and a certain set of verses. And if you know the code, you can do the code and you will get 72 names.
The 72 names of God.
The Shemam Forest, the
That
72 names of
is
God.
a book written by Rabbi Yeshida Berg.
No, yes. What he does is he takes it out
Yeah.
and he exposes the code for the first time,
Yes.
right? So you have 72 names, and then each name has a particular attribute.
Okay.
So if you want to, from getting ill and you want to try to get better, you have a certain name
Right. So
Now, when you have that certain name, and you go into the solfeggio scale, they have a certain tone that is the miraculous tone for bringing things together.
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
Right.
Hey, you're really hip today, boy. Hey, you're running.
Yeah, just connecting it.
Yeah, right?
Come, let's go. Let's
So one of the things that you begin to understand is that we have the book, but we don't understand nothing in the book.
Well, we're trying to get there.
know.
We're trying to get there.
And you have people talking nonsense, and they say Joshua went around Jericho, and he take out the trumpet and he blow and the wall fall down. He fall down because he knew what notes in the solfeggio scale to play.
Right. So he actually...
If you break a strand, a DNA, you're doing this, fellas say, well, we breaking strands and we putting them back together. They never tell you how they put them back together.
5 to 8.
They put them in a petri dish and they put it on a frequency, and they make the 5 to 8 frequency and they leave it, and the 5 to 8 frequency just cause it to come back together.
Yeah. It heals it.
Yes. So you have basic scales that are foundation scales. You have healing scales. You have scales for when you want to break up stuff. You have scales for when you want to bring a thing back to where it was. You know.
Yeah.
But unless you know the code, you don't have the power to do that.
So sound, vibration, frequencies, all of these things are important, not just for music and enjoyment, but on a very esoteric and spiritual level.
So listen.
Yeah.
I have a picture in my office of the 72 names with the attributes. I'm in my office one day, and my imam friend comes in, and he looks up and he says, I see you have the Shemam Forest on your wall. And I laugh. You say it again. I say, I see you know that it is the Shemam Forest. You call it by the right name. He says, I shall bring you a gift tomorrow. And he brings me a thing, all nicely thing, and he puts it on the wall next to what I have, right? He says, this is the 99 names of Allah, with the same attributes and everything listed. And then you realize that all religions, when you reach a certain level of spirituality, there's a kind of coming together.
Commonality.
Yes, a communality of what is being said.
Yes.
And it is the same thing right through. But you know, most of the time, unless you go looking, you will never find it.
I think the important thing is when you get to that level of spirituality, because on the lower levels, it's still backbiting, fighting, and I don't like you.
But that's because you don't have any fascination to the truth. You're not looking for the truth.
Yeah.
When you start looking for the truth and you start discovering the truth, you find out that it have even more truths and more truths. So your whole life now is a sense of self-discovery.
Yes.
Because the more truths you discover, is the more you begin to realize who I might be.
Yeah.
You know, that is say who I am.
But, well, you definitely find out who you're not.
So, you know, you begin to realize that all these things that you have and all the things that you do, if they follow the old spiritual pathway, you will understand the reason why they're there, the power that you exert when it happens. The other thing that you have is that once you have learned how to quieten your mind, and you take up a bell and you ring the bell, nobody will have to tell you when the spirit has arrived, because you will see them.
Right.
They will come into the gathering, you know, and everything will be ready.
Right. You know, you go to some spiritual Baptist meetings or services, and you see individuals who just leave their seat and they would perform certain activities, especially around the center pole.
Yes.
They would go and pick up, if it's a glass of water, and they would go to the door, or they might pick up a few grains of seed and stuff like that. And
most of the time they start with a glass of water.
Yeah.
The entrance to life.
Right. And yeah, they would. You might see one person go with the water, and then somebody else come with the seeds, and then somebody else will come and ring the bell.
Yeah.
And you always tell, well, they're doing this in obedience to the utterance of the Holy Spirit. They would be guided to perform these activities, and to invite the Spirit of God into the meeting.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
what does the center pole represent? Why do you have a center pole?
Well,
And you have your center pole here, and what do you have most of the time at the side?
the side of the center pole, a wheel.
A wheel.
Yeah,
And the wheels have candles on it
yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. But you don't really see the wheel as much as you used to in the past.
No,
But a few churches still have it.
I'm telling you what it represents.
Yeah.
The center pole represents the center of our galaxy.
All right.
That's where everything starts. First, there was the darkness. The center of the galaxy is where your life is going to emanate from. And God said, so God had to say. What does saying do?
Project.
Saying creates space. If I speak, I fill a space,
Okay.
or I empty a space. So he emptied a space, and then he said, let there be light. He couldn't say let there be light until he emptied the space,
Right.
right? So in order to empty the space, he had to make 6 directions of space and then fill it with light. And then when he filled it with light and the two interacted, they started to spin. So the spinning wheel is to represent the total spin that our whole galaxy does and every other galaxy. So it represents the movement of God inside what we call space and time.
So based on what you just said to me, in the Spiritual Baptist Church, in the middle of the Spiritual Baptist Church, I have to say in days gone by, because a lot
You had a center pole.
you had the center point, you had the wheel,
Yes.
which was a universal
Now,
representation.
whenever you're going in the church and you're praying,
Yeah.
what they used to do when they go to the wheel,
They used to turn it.
how they used to turn it?
Well, anti-clockwise.
They turn it both ways. Well, which way is which?
Well, I suppose it depends on whether you want to send or you want to receive.
Great. So which way is send and which way is receive?
I suppose receive is anti-clockwise and send is clockwise.
How you know that for sure? You have a sink at home? Go and put water in it.
Yeah, full of
Right?
it, yeah.
And then pull out the cork. And watch when it is going down, how it's spinning.
Anti-clockwise.
Spin anti.
Yeah.
Right? So whenever things are descending, it spins anti-clockwise.
Right.
So I was reading a book the other day, and the guy says one of the reasons why synthetic vitamins don't work is because if the vitamins are made from plants, the spin, the orbital spin on them is anti-clockwise, which means it is in tune with your body, which keeps its form here.
Right.
When you make it from oil and things like that,
Synthetically,
yeah, it spins clockwise. So it basically is the same thing molecularly, but the spin is wrong, so it doesn't benefit your body the same way.
So your body can't usurp it.
No, your body's had to take it
It
and
just
try
rejected it.
to change it
Yeah.
before it could use it.
And I just put another strain on your system.
All right. So you see, all these things represented something. The people who take them out of the church, they take them out of the church because of ignorance.
Yes.
How can you take the whole reason that you're living, the sun going around the moon, and the moon going round, and the planets going round, and each of them having an effect?
But what is miraculous is we talking about 100 years ago, we have spiritual Baptist persons who were not educated.
But they got that from their ancestors.
They got this knowledge in the morning room,
They got it from their ancestors.
right?
Because when you go in the morning room and you lie down, who will come and look for you? And then plus the fact that 90% of the time, that book is written in code, and if you don't understand the code, you don't understand the book at all.
So the codes are the real secrets of the Bible.
The codes are the secrets of the Bible. It's like how you say just now, and you go to the light, and I say, well, what does the light represent? The light represents what your consciousness can take that is the sum total of God. So he giving you a little touch of it. And when that touch you is like pure fire, right? And he says, all right, that is it. And Christ tells you, he say, whenever you're going to the Father, you'll know. You'll know because you had to pass through the light. How
Listen,
can you claim to be a spiritual Baptist and leave off the center pole?
Well, that's another thing. They have gone so far now that there are a lot of churches now that don't even have a center. They don't have a physical pole. they say it's a spiritual center pole. So they just have maybe a spot where they put the implement.
So what about the people in the church who don't have the ability to visualize a spiritual center pole, and who that center pole represented something? Because everything has to emanate from a center. The only place that you have solid, steady force is where you have your center. If you lose your center inside you, you fall apart.
So the center pole
is where life comes out from.
Right. And it's not about the holding up of the roof or...
In a way, yes, it holds up the roof. Yeah. It holds up the roof for the world.
Okay.
Everybody says there's a coming to Christ. Mm-hmm. Everybody says it. The Mayans wrote it 10,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. The Indians say it. They say that we're coming to a new time. Mm-hmm. Why are we coming to a new time? Because our solar system has come out of the shadows, and we're now seeing the center of the galaxy. So we're getting energies that we didn't get before. So what is happening? Our sun is increasing in ultraviolet rays.
Oh yeah, and intensity.
And intensity.
Yeah.
So they say global warming. But that's not the whole story.
Right.
In other words, you have to hide the truth of what you're really coming to. Right? You see why it is that when you go into Africa, as you go more and more into the center where people have not been miscegenated, in other words, they're purer, they're there for thousands of years. They're black, the skin's so black that it gets a blue-green color. Mm-hmm. Right? Why do they have that color and people outside don't have that color, who's mixed? Mm-hmm. Right? Until you begin to learn about melatonin. And that melatonin has a copper element to it, and it has the ability to take ultraviolet and turn it into food. So people who don't tan don't have that ability. And when that sun will come back up, the people who are going to be most awake in it is the people who have melatonin and can tan. All those kind of secrets are kept from us.
All right.
I suppose some of your pastors might want to throw me off for saying that you must have a center pole in the place.
No.
All the churches have a center steeple on the church.
No, it is interesting that...
And the church is built to a certain Fibonacci series. Yeah. If you look at the mint, where you have your money, it's built in the same relationships. Anything that have that importance.
Yes, because they used to, Michelangelo and these guys were called in to design any building that would have been of importance. And they were required to put all the esoteric and all their knowledge into making sure that the building was...
Listen, Bach and them fellas is known for producing music that is soothier, that is carried to another level. All of them designed their music relative to the Fibonacci series when they were putting the notes one to the other. So it is a combination of their genius and a combination of the mathematics of the universe. But the only way you will know that is if you dig. So when that music come up and it start playing, it is playing the same frequencies with which your body is made.
So you must like it.
You must like it. It have to. You're in resonance with it.
Yeah.
Unless you're some kind of crazy demon that that completely out of sync with everything.
Yes. Unless you had the wrong spin.
Yeah, unless you had the wrong spin.
Yeah.
You see, so what you have is you have a bunch of modern people who quote in the Bible and know nothing about it. They don't know none of the secrets. They don't know none of the codes. And some of them, sometimes they get a book that might give them a little inkling to the codes and not the whole thing. Because if you're doing that, you just had to have a teacher. And the teachers had to tell it to you a little bit at a time so you could get a sense. All of them have the Bible. They follow in the Bible. You know, we just passed the New Year. We just passed the New Year.
Yeah.
Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
That's the book, the Old Testament, New Year. And we at the end of
Sukkot,
Sukkot.
yeah.
Sukkot is a 7-day ritual. What is it a ritual about? It's a ritual about how to plan for the new year and what you do during that time so you could make that plan become a reality.
Yes. And this is
So that's we're talking now about the power of the Bible. How many people know that? But they're busy holding up the book and carrying on. You understand? So you cannot lead your people to making their dreams a reality. Because if you're going to make your dreams a reality, you have to have the spiritual power to back it up. Otherwise, it will fail all the time.
But can we say safely that the people who are doing this, who are behaving in this fashion, are really not interested in the spiritual aspect of what the Bible says, or spiritual development of the individuals in these churches? They're more interested in the physical and the, how should I put it, the surface of the whole thing. So they don't want to dive, they don't want to plumb the depths, they don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of, spirituality.
They don't want the truth.
Yeah.
To get the truth, you have to go and investigate the truth, and you have to start with everything and what is being said, what has been hidden from you. Try to find out in verse what it means, so that you could then tap that and use it not only for your spiritual health, but for your emotional health, for your mental health.
Yeah, but the societies, I talk about Trinidad and Tobago now. The Trinidad and Tobago's departure from spirituality and into a more...
Not Trinidad and Tobago. Some people in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, but the vast majority.
No, it have certain sections of this community that very much into the spirituality.
Yeah, because what you're seeing now is people are not, they don't care. They don't look at things from a spiritual perspective anymore. Everything is from the world view. It's happening in America, it's happening in Europe, so why we can't do it here? And nobody's considering, well, they're doing that there, but it's not a spiritual activity. It is...
Listen, it starts at all kinds of fundamental levels. I have a book at home of a woman who went to the parole board in Texas and said, listen, a lot of reasons why people are criminals is because of the food that they eat. So when you take people out of jail, rather than having them go back into jail, send them to me. I will teach them how to eat. And if they eat properly, the chances are you're not going to see them in jail again. And the reason why they have that book is that the success was so good.